What's going on, everyone? It is another installment of Kick Back and Relax, part of the Left Side Heavy podcast, presented by Blue Wire Hustle. It's your boy, Jevin LaFave. And today I'm bringing on good friend, Poco boy, Ryland Rees. He is a Rochester Nighthawk for the NLL. He is a Waterdog for the PLL. And he's just a very, very awesome guest. It was a very great interview. We kind of talk about his days in high school, minor league lacrosse, and then scaling up towards the pros. So tell some stories, answers about the season, any processes through college, all that. So it was a very enjoyable interview. Be sure to leave a rating and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're listening, head over to YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can watch the episode. And if you're watching the episode, then head over to any podcast platform and subscribe so you never miss an upload. And here is Ryland Rees. Enjoy the episode. It's episode 85 of Left Side Heavy, the podcast, the 17th installment of this Kickback and Relax series presented by Blue Wire Hustle. I'm your host, Jevin LaFave. Today, I bring on a very, very special guest. He's from Port Coquitlam, same city as me. He went to Stony Brook University, where he was a two-time captain, 2019 America East Defensive Player of the Year, 2018 N19 First Team All-Conference, and the 2018 America East All-Championship team. He has made appearances for Team Canada in 2018 and 2016, where he played at the World Field Lacrosse Championship, winning the silver medal, and the U19 World Field Lacrosse Championship, where he also won a silver medal. He's played for the Poco Saints junior team from 2014 to 18, and then he was soon traded to the Coquitlam Adanacs, where he did end up winning the very high-praised Minto Cup. And he is now, you can now find him in Rochester, playing for the Rochester Knighthawks, where he was drafted second overall in the 2019 draft, where he was then named to the NLL All-Rookie team, where he was also named the team's Defensive Player of the Year. Ryland Rees, thanks for joining me today.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
How's it over there in Rochester, buddy?
It's good. It's going. It's definitely colder than back home. Still kind of getting used to that, but lots of snow and, just kicking it in Rochester.
So the story around Rochester it's kind of funny because you're on technically an expansion team, but it's Rochester's like second team in like as many years. Can you explain, like, for anyone who doesn't know, like what kind of happened with that situation?
Yeah. So the original Rochester Knighthawks team is it's historically known. It's one of the greatest franchises. They won a lot of championships, and a lot of the best players in the world have come through this city. And the year before I got drafted into the NLL, they decided to pick up the Rochester Knighthawks team and move to Halifax. So the team that was the old Rochester Knighthawks moved to Halifax. Their owner took the whole team, everything. And the Padulas, who own the Buffalo Sabres, they own the Buffalo Bandits. They really thought that Rochester still deserved an NLL team. So they decided to buy the Rochester Knighthawks a new team, basically. And that's why we're an expansion team, is because they all left the Halifax. We still wanted a team here in Rochester. So they rebranded, whole new logo, colors, and then a whole new team. So that's kind of how the expansion draft came. And the first year of the team was my first year getting drafted. So that was the first kind of expansion draft in my first season with the new Nighthawks.
Do you know if like the kind of market around the team changed at all with it being like an expansion team, or was the fan base still there, or did they kind of gravitate towards the Halifax team?
I think they're still loyal to Rochester. It's been hard with just COVID. My first year and our first team as a new expansion season got cut halfway through because of COVID. So we were still building those fans, and then losing that half season, and then a whole next season, and then this season being with face requirements and vaccine requirements and everything, the fans have kind of been on and off, kind of been hard to get through. But now things are starting to open up. You're starting to see some requirements drop, and the face mandates are starting to drop here down in Rochester. So hopefully we get all those fans back, and start doing a little bit more within the community to kind of help grow and bring them into the Blue Cross arena.
Yeah, COVID's taken a toll on like everything nowadays, and it's no hidden secret at all, but it's kind of good to see things are starting to get lifted. I mean, like over here in BC, things are starting to be lifted a bit more, capacity starting to raise, but it's good to kind of see the wheels start to be in motion a bit more. But I want to take it back a bit. We'll get to your NLL days in just a few moments, but I wanted to know, how did you get into lacrosse? Well, I want to bring it back to, when you're just a young buck, and what kind of got you into lacrosse and field, box, all that sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I kind of grew up with a lacrosse stick in my hand. My grandpa played lacrosse. He's in the BC and Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame. So he's obviously been a big role model in my life, and kind of who I've kind of where I am today. I give a lot of that to him. Since I was probably 3 or 4, I grew up with a stick in my hand. My uncle played as well, so my grandpa's coached and taught at all different levels. So he's kind of been my mentor, and whether it's in the backyard when I was 5 years old, or in the living room, or whatever it was, even all the way through middle school, high school, he'd come over every day after school. I'd be in the backyard shooting with him. So kind of that, he's the reason why I started playing lacrosse, and he's kind of, the one that's been pushing me and kind of teaching me the game ever since. So he's definitely a big reason why I am where I am today.
Were there any pressures put on you as a kid, or did you just start playing because you loved it, and then the goal of kind of going professional or being in the most competitive aspect of the game at your age that you possibly could play in? Was it just you're playing it and then you wanted to compete at the highest level, and then pro came into the situation, or was pro always a goal from the beginning?
I always thought I think it was more, getting to the junior A level. I think that was, the most realistic. That was the biggest goal growing up. We didn't have a ton of NLL and, field lacrosse you really couldn't watch from back home. So really junior A, I think, was like where I wanted to get to. I wasn't the best player growing up all the way through. It's not really how it worked. I just kind of played, I got to play with my best friends, the same guys, since I was 5 years old. We grew up playing every year together. We were a really good team all the way through. And I think that's what made it so special, playing with guys like Brody, Liam, Ty. We grew up playing from such a young age, and going all the way through that journey together. I think that was kind of one of the more special parts, and they're still my best friends to this day. So the pro really didn't become something I had my eyes on, or really something that I thought was possible, until probably I got to college. Even getting to college was sort of a shock. His 9th or 10th grade is started finally doing like travel tournaments, and and coaches started to reach out, and that's when it kind of all became a little bit more real. When I didn't know those possibilities were really a thing in middle school, and when you're younger, it's not something that I kind of knew of, and it wasn't very big back out west. But once we hit high school, and once you started talking to some of those college teams, that's when things started to kind of really come to fruition and seem like a possibility for me.
You mentioned the talent level around your friend group, and believe me, like, I'm not a huge I don't have a ton of knowledge in the game of lacrosse, but I know talent when I see it. And the talent around your friend group is like unbelievable. With the guys you mentioned, did they play a big part in you improving the way you did over time?
Yeah, I think we all made each other better. Like every day at practice, when you're competing against guys that want the same end goal. We had a lot of guys that ended up going to college and pursuing junior A and playing pro. And you think of the guys like Keaton, Graydon, Brody, Liam, Ty, like growing up playing and competing with all those guys, I think it made us better every day. And especially having the chemistry when it got to a game, playing that long together. I think definitely playing together, especially with that talented group of guys, definitely kind of pushed each other every day and made us better players in the end.
Because you can find a few of your buddies in the NLL as well. You got Graydon in San Diego. You got Keegan over in Vancouver. You got Clark in Albany, if I'm not mistaken. Saskatchewan. My apologies.
Yep, no worries.
His debut, they were playing Albany. So, but Did you see the potential in those guys as well?
Yeah, I mean, since I was at college, Graydon was able to kind of get in the league earlier. And then, obviously played against a ton of guys and played with a bunch of guys that are still in the league. And, it's always cool to be able to play against and play with your friends. I remember playing against San Diego my rookie season and playing against Graydon. I thought it was so awesome to just kind of look on the other bench and see him there and his big body striding up the floor. But it's a really cool opportunity. And yeah, I think there's a lot of guys that I've played with that, could have and, might have been able to play in this league too. It's a tough league to crack, but it's really cool to see, close friends and, being able to kind of go through that journey with them and compete against them at this level. So
Going through the high school experience, you played for Terry Fox as well. What was the high school lacrosse kind of like up here in Canada? Because I know it's much more competitive in terms, because it was a field lacrosse league, and field down in the States is a lot more like competitive than up here in Canada, and vice versa with box lacrosse. So what was the high school experience like?
Yeah, high school field lacrosse is a lot different in the States than in BC for sure. In the States, like they have their high school season, and it's full go for the spring season, and then they play like their travel and summer ball in the summer. Our spring or our field lacrosse back in BC, it's maybe a practice a week. You got 6 to 10 guys. We got our nets made out of metal from our metal fab class that are the wrong dimensions. You're just practicing on a muddy field. We did what we could. But again, we had that same group of guys pretty much that we grew up with. We had a really, really good team, and we didn't get to practice a lot because, throughout the week, you're focused, you're still playing with your Poco Saints or whoever your team is. So you're still focusing kind of on box lacrosse. And, that's just kind of like the side fun lacrosse to play. You're still in your Poco Saints field season or box season, whatever it is. Like you're still focused on that. I think is the more like championship, like the more, your main league. So the high school was it was just like a kind of a fun league to play lacrosse with your friends is really what it was. We ended up being really good. We won a championship one year. I think we maybe came second the other, and it was fun, but it was a lot different. It was optional practice, kind of 10 guys, so it's different.
Yeah, because it was almost like you're just copy and pasted the same team into high school. Obviously, there were some guys who went to like Riverside or Best or somewhere else, but majority of the team was like from Fox. So you basically just ended Fox practice, and you're like, all right, see you at the game tonight. I'll see you in like an hour. Like, you gonna come pick me up in a bit, or?
That's pretty much how it was, man. We'd finish that practice. Like, are you going to practice tonight? Right? Yeah, be there. It's pretty funny. So yeah, a lot of lacrosse practice with the same guys. But
do you have any funny memories or fun memories, core memories from the Fox days? Any
Fox days? Grad camping's always a good one.
Like, I'm talking like lacrosse memories. Sorry, I may have worded that a bit weird, but
high school lacrosse memories. I think one of my favorite memories was one of my good friends, Matt Sweet. Never played lacrosse before, and I think it was maybe our 11th grade. He just decided to join the team, and that's what was great about the high school lacrosse is you didn't have to be. There's no tryouts really. We just wanted to play with our friends and have a good time. And Matt came out to play, and he just never played before. He was out at practice. We're like trying to teach him picking up balls and throwing. He could do the basics, but it was funny. Kind of, you got guys that are, some guys that play all year round, and then you got some of your friends that are just kind of wanting to play and hang out with you. So that's always one thing that kind of sticks out to me for our high school team is that it didn't matter. Like we just wanted to have fun. Matt's out there. It's just the skill difference is hilarious, but it was such a great time and just being with the same group of guys. So
that's like stick and puck. You'll see Brandon Goff, who's never played hockey in his life, and he'll just go out, just like rip around with the boys, or like high school rugby or soccer. And it's just, that's what high school sports are about. That's the time to like try out something new that you haven't like done before. But
exactly.
switching to minor league lacrosse and the Poco Saints days, when did it really start getting competitive, and when it really started, like the pace started picking up more and more, and you know, fires were starting to be lit under everyone's asses a bit more? Like, what level did that really start?
Um, I'd say for me, lacrosse kind of was something that I knew I wanted to pursue probably around like eighth grade. Like that's right when I quit hockey, I decided to focus on lacrosse. Um, ninth grade, like that's when like Team BC and high school stuff and the bigger tournaments started to happen. So I think that's probably when lacrosse took priority for me for sure. Quit pretty much every other sport. I played high school soccer. That was kind of the only other thing I did other than lacrosse for my high school career, and that's kind of when I realized that it's what I wanted to do. Did I think I was going to get to, especially where I am today? No, not at all. But fighting and working hard for that college scholarship was definitely something that I wanted to pursue, and I focused on, and I was very fortunate from that.
What was your favorite level of minor league lacrosse? Because the inter A games, man, like the stands would fill up like crazy. Everyone from high school every Thursday or Friday night, and the games against Coquitlam, and
That's
like
yeah.
they were some of the funnest games I've ever been to my entire life, professional sports including. So, what was your favorite level of lacrosse that you like participated in? And yeah, like what one did you just have the most
That's
fun in?
that's a really tough one because it's like that same group of guys we were talking about. We started in novice, which was, you're probably 7, 8 years old. It's me, Brody, Liam, Ty, that whole group of guys. We went undefeated the entire season, won the year end tourney. So that was like, we always go back to that. We're like, we've been doing this since then.
Yeah.
But intermediate and even like midget. I think midget A, Poco hosted the Provincials in the Blue Arena,
Oh yeah.
and we won the championship. And that arena was the hottest I've ever been. There's just way too many people for that small arena. And it was loud, and like you were saying, like it kind of that same feeling, like those Thursday, Friday nights for junior A. You had all your high school buddies up in the stands. It's just your blue collar Poco Blue Arena, just grinding it out. And it was awesome. I mean, there's so many memories.
Yeah.
Like obviously winning the Minto Cup is obviously one of the great lacrosse memories I have. But man, there's nothing like that intermediate and Poco Junior A team, man. We had some characters on those teams, and it really made lacrosse fun.
Yeah, because this isn't on the same level like at all, but just in hockey, I didn't really play anything more than house. I tried out for rep a few times, but um we were in like the banner game, and we were like shorthanded, and we're playing a team that we always lost to, even when we had our full roster. So we shouldn't have like been in. It shouldn't have been a close game, but we were like going back and forth, like up to other team ties it, just back and forth, and I scored a goal, and it's just like the adrenaline going through you was just playing that championship game just like brings a different vibe. Like the arena was like every single team was watching it, all the parents were watching it, like siblings were there, like it was pretty full. So the just that championship feel is unbelievable. So Poco hosting the Provincials, man, that must have been something like
Yeah,
exhilarating.
it was electric, and it was a low scoring game, so we're playing against Quitlam, and they got Del Bianco in net, and he's a very very tough person to score against. So it was a low scoring game. I want to say it was like 7-5 maybe, and it was so loud, it was so hot, but like you're saying, like that championship feeling, like it's crazy how electrifying and like the adrenaline that you get from it. So that was it was a pretty cool experience. So
Yeah, Del Bianco was always a stud for Coquitlam, and he ended up getting drafted into the NLL. Have you crossed paths with him uh
I
a few
yeah, I
times?
played him my first year. We played him once, and then Scored my first NLL goal against them. Not a big deal. Actually had two
Oh,
in that game.
really?
I
That's
had two in that game, but
that's unbelievable.
yeah, no.
Bringing it
And then
back
we
to
were,
the good old days.
yeah, we were supposed to play him or his team this year, and we had to cancel because of COVID, so that got rescheduled. So we got them in about a month. We play them, so we get to play against him again. You know, obviously playing against him for so long growing up, and then playing with him when we won the Minto Cup. He's just a phenomenal goalie. He's a great guy on and off the floor, and it's always fun to compete against him.
Yeah, talking with the Goffs and just everyone in Poco, because the vibe, even there's a vibe even in like the commons at Fox whenever you guys would be playing Coquitlam. You know, Dylan LeJohn would be saying, "I'm going to fight someone tonight." Like he he would just get everyone's expectations high, and then everyone would bring up like, oh, we got to play Del Bianco. Like he's always been a stud and everything. And then I was like, okay, how good can this guy be? And he's not the biggest guy too. And I'm like, this guy is like not the biggest, and everyone's still talking about him. He must be one of the craziest guys in net, and he was. But
Yeah.
you guys held you guys' own against him, so it was pretty fun. But the inter-A games against Coquitlam, we've touched on it a few times, but what was just the vibes going into it? Because everyone like made sure that they showed up on time for that.
Yeah, so inter-A is a little bit different because in Ontario they don't have that. They do the 5 years of junior, which now they do. There's no more intermediate in Poco and BC. But playing intermediate, I remember Coquitlam, like our Poco team was just a blue collar, scrappy team.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't really do the whole OD for a little bit. We just played 5 lines. And we had some guys that like to rough it up. And, you know, one game I remember Folds gets peeled, he gets jumped and broke a nose later.
Remember that. I
and
remember that.
Liam's in the hospital with him. He's in a fight and concussion. And unfortunately that was a bad turnout for Liam, where that ended up being his last game. But man, like we just had a scrappy team, loved fighting. And you know, it was just a really great group of guys to be with and be able to play with. And it was awesome.
So you as your days are, you're in your last season, or you play some junior for Poco, but then you want your one last shot at a Minto and you get traded to Coquitlam. Explain the process of that going through, and was it hard asking for a trade from Poco to Coquitlam? Because you know we've been rivals for so long. We're rival cities. It's known, Poco versus Coquitlam. Was it hard to like process that and like take your heart out of the equation with the move?
Yeah, it was a really crappy situation for how it went down. And you know, me, Folds, and Graydon, we didn't want to leave Poco. We really wanted to. We thought we had a really good team to go compete for a Minto Cup with Poco and see if we could get there. And that was always our goal to start. And the owner at the time just didn't seem to make the right moves. We knew we needed some extra parts to the team that would help us and would really, you know, New West and Coquitlam, they're all making trades, they're all making pushes for the Minto, and Poco, we just kind of sat there and just didn't do anything. And we knew at the time, you know, we lost to Coquitlam and New West, like we knew we had to do something. So they were asking us all about players and what we needed. You know, maybe we needed some more lefty offensive guys, or maybe another goalie. Like we needed some parts to really go for that Minto. And they told us that they were getting ready to make some trades, and we'll see what we can do. And later we found out, pretty much 2 days before the trade deadline, we found out that really our owner and everyone, that we weren't making any moves, no trades, no pickups, no nothing. And that was kind of really hard for us to hear. You know, we want to go for this. We want to try and win a championship with Poco. It's our last year of junior. And they never really ended up doing anything. And so me, Folds, and Graydon, you know, we wanted more guys to come with us, and we would have rather gone and done it with all of our boys and tried to compete whether we won or not. I think that's probably the route we would have hoped for. But they basically told us that they weren't making any trades on probably an hour before the trade deadline. No moves made. So me, Drain, and Folds, we said, listen, if you don't either make a trade to help Poco or you don't trade us to a different team, we're not playing playoffs. Basically how it went down. It was basically what we said. We said either get us players or send us somewhere else to go compete, because we don't want to just throw away our last year. And got a call right after the trade deadline, basically. And me, Folds, and Drain were together. We were trying to figure this whole thing out. And we got the call saying that we were all in the same trade to Gwillem. And, ever since then, obviously they were a really good team. And it was really hard to leave Poco and the guys that we've been playing with for so long. That was the hard part. The rivalry, it happens, trades happen. And I don't think the hard part was going to play with them. I think the hardest part was leaving the guys in that locker room and not being able to chase it with them. And, it ended up working out for the three of us. It's just really unfortunate the way everything happened and how it went down. But in the end, it got ourselves a Minto. So.
Yeah, because Poco is always pretty competitive with every single team that they've played against, but they just couldn't. Like, you guys always felt like got it to game 6 or got it to game 7 and just fell short. Like, we were always so close. And I remember talking with Brandon. He would always kind of keep me updated on what teams to look out for, players, the situation, all that. And he said, like, year after year, he's like, Poco can like compete. Like, this is a really good year, like good chance for them. But unfortunately, things just didn't work out. So you guys, how much longer after the trade deadline was there left in the season?
So there wasn't a lot at all, really. There's probably a couple games. So I pretty much got traded with Graydon and Liam, or Graydon and Folds. I pretty much probably practiced a few times, played in one game, possibly 2 games, and then I actually had to leave and I flew to Israel for Team Canada. I missed the whole first round of playoffs. So I came right in to the second round of playoffs against New West, and that was kind of like my real first few times with the team, and that was kind of an adjustment I had to make coming from Worlds and not really having much of a break, but jumping right into that. And there wasn't much time to kind of gel and build that chemistry, but it was super easy. They played a lot faster paced game and a little bit more systematic, which took a little bit of getting used to, but I think that's what kind of helped me grow or make the transition from junior to professional definitely a lot easier. Was having Patty Coyle, who's a well-known NLL coach and a great coach, really kind of helped me, kind of transfer my game from that junior to the pro level, and playing that a little bit more of a systematic and a professional defense took some adjusting, but it definitely helped me get to where I am today. But only a few regular season games, and then I ended up missing the whole round of playoffs and right into the second round.
Were you nervous that you guys weren't going to make it out of the first round?
I wasn't really nervous, no. They were a good team without me, Folds, and Drayden, and if we were just able to help in any way, that's what we were there to do. And it was a great team, phenomenal players all up and down the roster. So I wasn't too worried about the first round. But you never know what happens. So I was over in Israel watching any game I could, with the time change and the schedule that I was on there. But I had high expectations for the boys to at least make it to the second round.
So you guys end up pulling it off, like you said. Was the feeling as good as expected, or did it exceed your expectations? Because I can't assume that it's any less than meeting your expectations.
No, it's obviously, one of the greatest accomplishments I've had in my life. Kind of an odd journey for me. Like I said, I missed the first round. I came back from Israel, played in the second round. We went to the Minto Cup in Calgary. I played in all the round robin games, and in the first game of the finals, I broke my foot, so I wasn't even able to play in the finals. So that was kind of really hard for me, especially just watching those. I was on one of those knee scooters, ended up getting surgery when I got to Stony Brook, but I don't know if that changed the feeling for me. It was just really hard to watch the championship series. But the feeling didn't change. I don't know where the video is, but there's a video somewhere of everyone going off the bench, and I'm by far the last one off the bench. I put my scooter onto the floor, and I'm sprinting off, pushing off my one leg, and I one bunny hop. My scooter goes flying into the boards. I bunny hop and jump onto the pile. The feeling is exactly what you'd think, and it's crazy, and it was such a fun group of guys. But yeah, I think it was definitely it was super hard to watch, like watching your team compete in such an important games and everything. That's the really tough part. But when we finally got the win, it was, weight lifted off my shoulders, and I was super excited.
Yeah, I can't imagine that feeling. Something you've been looking forward to for so long, competing in the Minto, like especially like for the championship. You guys, like, you're in the finals. You've unfortunately hadn't been able to get there. Yeah, I couldn't imagine that feeling, but glad you pulled it off. Happy for you and the boys. But you mentioned Worlds. Was that your first year being selected, or how was the process of like getting a call and being chosen to compete?
Yeah, so that was my second time competing with Canada, but that was my first experience with the men's. Competed in the U19 men, or the Worlds, in Coquitlam, actually. And for that, yeah, it's just, it's a bunch of guys from Ontario, Alberta, BC. You get emails, you go to try out. We had tryouts at IMG Academy in Florida. We went down to tryouts, and lucky enough to kind of get through that process and make that team. And that's kind of where, that was after my first year at Stony Brook. So that definitely helped me kind of growing through my college experience, and I ended up having a really good tournament. We unfortunately came second, but was able to walk out of that with defensive player of the tournament. So it was a really cool experience for me, and it really helped me kind of keep growing as a player. But the men's Worlds was in Israel. They invited some of the guys to that U19 team, and it was the same tryout process, except now you're playing with guys like Curtis Dixon. You got trying out, and Brody Merrill's there beside me on the field. Is kind of surreal for me, especially. He's always been a guy that I've tried to emulate and watch growing up, and so that was a really cool experience to be able to play with him. And again, we had a really, really unfortunate silver there with that last second kerfuffle with the time and the refs, but can't control that now. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. Israel was incredible. Our hotel was like a resort, and it's such a good group of guys. So it's always an honor to be able to rock the Maple Leaf, and I'm hopefully excited to be able to do it again in 2023. So
was the compete level different than anything you've experienced before?
Yeah, for sure. The World Games are a lot different, just with the pace of the game and having no shot clock and everything like that. But the player caliber there is the best of the best. It really is. With Team USA, they're a phenomenal team. They tried covering Shriver as a second-year guy in college, third-year guy in college. It's not really what you're used to. Yeah. Or you're going up against Lyle Thompson as a third-year junior in college. It's a humbling experience. It's top of the line lacrosse, and it was a challenge for me, and it was a learning experience for me. And it was one of the best kind of tournaments of my life that I've ever been a part of, and very thankful for the opportunity.
So you went there while you're kind of on the tail end of college and everything, and I kind of want to go back to that whole recruiting process and everything. Sorry, I'm kind of going out of order here, but so obviously, when did the recruiting start for college, and when did you start getting looked at, and what were some of the prominent schools along with Stony Brook that reached out to you?
Yeah, so I think kind of like the big tournament for me where I really started to get some attention from colleges was our U16 Team BC tournament, our field lacrosse tournament in Quebec. Again, that's with Brody, Liam, Ty, that same group of guys. We ended up winning gold by a good margin against Team Ontario. And I ended up getting a tournament MVP. And that was kind of the big turning point for me. I think that's when schools started to reach out with emails, and that's when I was able to, you start to put together your highlight films and you send that out. So that was kind of, I think, the big opportunity for me. And then it's just, it's tough to get down to the States to play in front of those college coaches. We don't have the same opportunities as the guys in the United States. So, when you go down to those tournaments, you really, really got to show. But I was fortunate enough, I believe my 10th grade, Claremont on the island got a showcase for college coaches to come up. And that was kind of like the first year that happened. So a bunch of college coaches were able to come up to that, my 10th grade. And that was after that tournament, and started talking to a few of the coaches, and then they finally got to see me play in person. And then, it goes on from there, and you start emailing and you do your visits. We had a tournament in Baltimore, and when we were there, I decided to do my visits of schools that I was talking to that were around there. So I visited Rutgers, Stony Brook, Cornell, Loyola. So, I'd say those four and probably Denver were the 5 schools that I was really focused on and considering. And, the decision was tough. It was a lot of phenomenal schools, and it just kind of where I felt I fit best when I was on my visit. And Stony Brook had a bunch of Canadians there already, and, Coquitlam native Challen Rogers. They had a couple of guys from the island, a guy from Alberta. So, they made me feel a little bit more at home, and it was an easier transition for me. But yeah, the recruiting process is a lot different. And again, it's changed nowadays. They can't talk to players until they're in their 11th season, I believe, or their September 1st of their junior season. So it's changed a lot, but yeah, I'd say that one tournament and then that 10th grade was kind of when things really started to kind of pick up. And that's when the decisions were made.
Yeah, because I was about to ask, like, what made Stony Brook stand out, and so it was the Canadian aspect and just the comfortability they provided.
Yeah, it just made me feel like I was like it was a good fit for me. Stony Brook's lacrosse stadium is amazing. It's top of the line. The facilities there, the gym, the study hall, the athletics facilities, top of the line. It had its own. Stony, it's a big commuter school on Long Island, and it's got its own hospital. It's a very, very top of the line med school. Not that I was ever a part of that, but it's a well-known SUNY school in New York, and academically it's a really good school. And so I just, I thought the mix of both worlds, and I wanted to go to a place where I could make an impact as a freshman, and I thought that was a really good place for me. I've always wanted to compete for playing time and make a difference on the field, and I thought it was just the best fit for me. And I had a great 4 years there, and very happy for the teammates and guys who I call family that I was able to meet there.
Were they able to promise you a certain amount of playing time and kind of, I feel like guarantee is the wrong word to use because nothing's guaranteed, right? Because you got to prove that you belong and you got to prove your playing time. But did they kind of almost like give you an idea of how much playing time you get in your first year that maybe bumped them up in the rankings a bit more?
That's really hard for coaches to do. You can't guarantee it, like you said, and
yeah.
It's hard to even say if you'll ever play as a freshman. I think they'll tell you and they'll say, we think you have a chance at seeing some playing time, but it's how much work you put in and how well you fit in with the guys. So there's no promises for playing time, and you got to go in and you got to put in the work, and it's just kind of how I went in and I just competed. And I was fortunate enough to kind of work into a starting role as a freshman and take on that for 4 years. I was very fortunate, and it was an awesome part of my life.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm kind of starting to live life by is hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So, I mean, like going into college, obviously you're going to train to be the best player you possibly can, but you want to prepare like you're on the last strike. Like you're not going to, like, basically you're like a 1-star instead of a 5-star type of thing. So yeah. And I just wanted to kind of see an idea, because it makes sense that you can't really guarantee or promise anything, right? Because it's all on you. Like, you have
Yeah,
to
and there's
control your work ethic and everything. So makes sense.
there's a lot going on too, and school plays a factor, and time management's a big thing. So some guys adjust to it a lot better, and some guys take a while to adjust to it. So a lot of factors go into that, not just strictly how you do on the field. It's off the field stuff too, and being able to manage all that and take advantage of it. But I was fortunate to kind of be able to work into that starting role as a freshman.
What did you study down there?
I did business marketing.
How was that?
It was good. I'll be honest, I was probably more there for
Yeah.
lacrosse education than I was the school side of it. But it was really, the school there, it's tough. But it's good. And I was happy with, business marketing, and, looking at it after that, when I was there, is something I thought pro lacrosse might be something in my future. And I thought, that marketing and that could help kind of play into the professional athlete role. And, I'm happy with the decision, and met some good people through that as well.
Yeah, because a lot of things some people don't realize is that when athletes do go to school, they have to play into account like post-career stuff. So it's like, study something like, obviously you're not gonna study for your doctorate. I mean, some people do because they're blessed to have the knowledge and time management along with being a star athlete. But I mean, study something that you enjoy, that you're gonna have fun doing if a career doesn't work out, but also like give yourself some time to, stick to what you're there for. So I love marketing. I think marketing is like a fun aspect of school. But what was the school spirit good in Stony Brook? Like, was it electric? Did you guys put asses in the seats? Because I know you guys went to March Madness at least once that I was paying attention to basketball and stuff. So was the school spirit fun there?
Yeah, it was good. My freshman year is when I believe that was when they went to the tournament. And the basketball team, they got a whole new basketball stadium. They get some good fans. Our women's lacrosse team was number one in the country for a lot of the years I was there, or if not a top 5, and they still are to this date. So, they did a lot of fans, and we'd be supporting them, and they'd come out to support our games. And in those cold, windy winter days and on Long Island, it was sometimes tough to get some fans, but no, it was always great. A lot of the athletics is a very tight knit group there at Stony Brook, and all the teams kind of supported each other, and it was a pretty cool experience. And you got your pep rallies and whatnot kind of things, but more just throughout the athletic side. There's way too many students to kind of do that as everybody in the school. But yeah, the athletic facility and the athletics at Stony Brook were all very tight knit, and it was very, very supportive from team to team.
Did you do any like fun extracurricular stuff, like even like outside of school while you were down Long Island, catch any Islanders games, any football games, anything like that?
Yeah, we definitely caught a bunch of Islanders games. Never went to a Jets or Giants game while I was there.
Probably for
usually
the
I was
best.
kind of we were kind of not that I would have wanted to support one of those teams, but no, it was good. We go to Islanders games, you go to your parties here and there, and we always do at Stony Brook. We always did like a wedding between the men's and women's lacrosse team every year. So as a senior on the men's team married a senior on the women's team, it was basically just a big day drink kind of fake wedding. That was always a great time.
Well, that's awesome. Tell me more of that. Like, is it just like a regular like kind of backyard party, just like
no, it's a
ceremony?
full ceremony. Everyone dresses up. You got your bride and your groom. We do the whole groomsmen wedding party thing.
Bachelor party.
Well, we don't do the bachelor party, but we get the whole chairs set up we get them walking down the aisle. We got a pastor and a guy swearing them into oath, and no, it's like a pretty legit wedding, but it's all just like a joke, and it's been happening for a few years there. Well, every year I was there, and that was probably one of the bigger parties that we would have, and it'd start early and it'd go late, and it was quite the time for sure.
That is unbelievable. I'd pay good money to see like some footage of that.
Yeah, there's pictures kicking around for sure. We always do a Catalina wine mixer as well.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's usually at our house, and there's a big ice luge. There's kegs. There's a ton of wine. It's another another day drink that you're able to have some fun.
Yeah.
Usually closer to when season's over, if we got knocked out or whatever, that's kind of when that would happen, and it's nice and sunny out. But we had a lot of fun, and just a great group of people on the Stony Brook team, and made a lot of good friends there and had a lot of fun.
Did you ever get selected?
I was a groomsman 2 times, but I was never the one getting married. No.
I was the groomsman, never the groom.
Yep, exactly. That's how
But,
it was.
So I forgot to mention this in your intro, but you end up getting selected by the Boston Cannons in the 2019 MLL draft, 27th overall. Is MLL like, what's the difference between MLL and NLL?
So the MLL is no longer a thing. So when I got drafted was the first year that the PLL started their league. I didn't get drafted in that one. I got picked up in the player pool. And then the MLL, which was the original like outdoor field lacrosse professional league. The PLL basically was created. They took a bunch of players, started their own league, and the MLL was just going as normal. Got drafted to the Boston Cannons. Had a really great year with them. Again, really like our owners, our coaches, the teammates, everything. Got to play with a fellow college teammate again, so that was
That's awesome.
A few of them actually. So one of the guys I lived with and graduated with at Stony Brook, we both were able to continue playing up in Boston, and Challen Rogers was playing there as well. So a few familiar faces, and had a great first professional field lacrosse season. I was very grateful for that. And and the PLL continued to grow. And the following year, I thought it was best for me as a younger player to, try and play against the best players in the world. And I thought the PLL, that's where it was. So I made the jump over to the PLL, and I was picked up by the Waterdogs in the expansion draft. And it's been incredible ever since. It's a little bit different where the PLL is a tour-based league.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, so each weekend we're in a different city, and all the teams travel there. You're playing a different team each weekend, but you'll be in Boston one weekend, you'll be in Albany one weekend, you'll be in Georgia, you'll be in Minneapolis. So it doesn't really, you're just kind of around and you're playing on the weekends. But it's been a great first few years for me in the professional field lacrosse league, and I'm very, very happy with where I'm at. So
I feel like that's an awesome way to grow a league or a sport that's maybe not getting the recognition it's quite deserved. Like a tour-based league, I feel is amazing. You just set up camp wherever, I guess, like wherever there's enough space, and then like a general admission cost. Like I'm not too sure how exactly it works, but if you don't mind explaining, how does, like, say you guys set up camp in Georgia, how does a weekend or a week, like, how does that work exactly?
Yes. So the one thing PLL does tremendously is their social media game. So their social media, their marketing, getting the word of mouth out. Ticket sales aren't usually a problem. They kind of target lacrosse markets at the same time as trying to grow the game. It's hard to go to a state or somewhere that doesn't know lacrosse at all and you get no fans. So it's kind of finding that in between where you're really trying to grow the game. Like Minneapolis is a great place. Lacrosse is definitely growing there. They pull a good show there for PLL, and it's just a weekend of lacrosse basically. It's Saturday, Sunday. All 6 or 7 teams are there, depending on if there's a bye weekend or not for someone. And usually it's 2 games or 3 games one day, 2 or 3 games the next day. And you're just going out and competing. If you got a game in Boston and on Saturday, you fly in Friday, you practice Friday night, you play Saturday, and you fly home either Saturday night or Sunday, and you're back with the team. And the next weekend you're meeting them in a different city or a different state. So it's a really cool way, and I think they're definitely doing it to find out which markets they want to put teams into eventually. I don't know how long the tour-based league will be, but they're looking for the markets that been the biggest crowd and the biggest supporters. So I think it's interesting to see how different cities kind of how it's growing, and I think the field does a great job of growing the game of lacrosse, which is kind of what we're here to do.
I don't know if you listened to part of my take, but their team that they chose was the Waterdogs, and they started following it a bit more and more. Did you kind of get a laugh at that, or did that put a smile on your face at all that they were kind of hopping on the bandwagon for your team?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's a bandwagon or I think they came up with the name the Waterdogs, and that's kind of how they got involved with our team. But no, it's hilarious. It's growing the game, and most of the time it's them shitting on our team. But we were a first year team the first year, and it was tough, and it was expansion, and it was into a bubble, and we didn't have a lot of time to prepare and get ready for that season. But this last season, we finished first in regular season, and it's just hilarious having Big Cat and their whole Barstool PFT supporting and kind of tweeting at us and going back and forth. It's hilarious. But actually, funny story with that is we were at an airport after a game, a bunch of the Waterdogs. We were just having some drinks, and I tweeted out a picture. I was asking if Big Cat would cover our beers for the airport for a big win that we just got. And little did I know, he actually sent me the couple $100 for to cover the team's beers. So
that's
that
amazing.
was a pretty funny moment. He's supporting the boys. So it was a funny time at the airport when I got that from him.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, because whenever you guys were in a downfall, then they would like ridicule you guys or give you like tough love, and then whenever you guys started doing good, they would take credit for like kicking you guys in the ass and like to get going. And it was just a funny moment like hearing you guys talk about it, and then I'm like, oh shit, Ryland plays for the Waterdogs. This is kind of a funny narrative that I'm following, because one of my buddies from home is on the team that these guys are kind of rooting for, I guess, or like tagging along. But Paul Rabel, he's the creator of the league, if I'm not mistaken, and
he's a co-founder,
and he's a lacrosse icon. Some classify him as one of the best players to play lacrosse. Was it exhilarating feeling like playing against him, with him, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, everybody kind of knew the name of Paul Rabel, and he's a lot of offensive guys' best favorite players, and kind of being a defensive guy growing up, he was never my favorite player because I guess I lean towards the defensive side a little bit more, and that usually went to Brody Merrill. But yeah, I played against Paul Rabel in the Worlds in Israel when I was in college, so kind of got through that whole fanboy kind of playing against the best players in the world. I kind of got that out of the way nice and early in Worlds, playing against the best players in the world. So when I did get to the pros and all that, it was kind of like I've been here before, and it was kind of like a cool, calm, and collected for me. But it's always great being able to play against the best players in the world. And Paul's done a ton for lacrosse and growing the game of lacrosse. And he's the co-founder of the PLL, so I'm grateful for that, obviously, and just excited to see the league grow and see where it gets to from there. And he's a big part of that.
That's awesome, man. I want to talk about, you get drafted by the Rochester Knighthawks, second overall. And I remember looking through the Coquitlam yearbook in middle school, and it always say like, what's your future dream and all. And I came across yours, and you said to be drafted and to play in the NLL. And then my guy, Ryland Rees, on this Zoom call, on this episode, he gets drafted to the NLL, to Rochester, second overall. That's just like a proud moment as a Poco boy, a guy that I knew grown up. You always, in high school, you took me under your wing a few times. You're always a good guy to me. And seeing you drafted to the NLL, it was a cool feeling. So I want to hear like your side, just like I made it, like an I made it moment. Like, how cool of a feeling was it? What was going through your head when it ultimately ended up happening. Just give me the rundown of it.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, after that junior and winning the Minto, it was kind of, all right, what's next? And I was kind of focused on the college season at the time, and I knew the draft was coming up, but the draft was in Philadelphia at the Xfinity Live Center, it's a great spot in Philly. It's one massive bar with like 4 bars inside of it, and it's right in the middle of the Flyers arena, the Phillies arena, and the Eagles arena. It's crazy there, but I was really lucky to have family down. My mom, my brother, they all came down to the draft. Keegan Bell was also there, so it was really cool to kind of go through that experience with him. It's kind of surreal. Like, it's kind of like speechless. We were sitting in one part of the bar, and you're kind of sitting with all the players and your family, and you're waiting, or your family's sitting out in the hall, and you're kind of waiting, and we're watching the draft live while the stage is to our right. And I talked to a few teams, and I never knew exactly where I was going to go. I didn't know for sure I was going at 2. I could have gone at 4. If I could have known, it could have gone at 1 or 10. It wasn't a for sure thing. And hearing my name at 2, and I was speechless. I looked at my mom; she was crying. It was a great experience. It was humbling. And then walking across that stage, and kind of, you said it like that, the feeling of I made it. Like, this was my goal. And I think for me, like, shortly after that, I was like, okay, well, I'm not stopping here. Let's keep it going, and make the most of this opportunity. And getting drafted is great and all, and it's still a long journey to making the team. And it doesn't matter if you're a first round draft pick or what it is. Like, you still got a lot of work to put in. And I was very fortunate to get drafted by Rochester, and I've been loving every moment of it here in Roch Vegas. So,
do they do it like NFL style? Do they like call you before they make their pick, or is it all a surprise to you?
No, so like, you talk with coaches and players before the draft, but when you're at the draft, it's all the players are in one room, and there's the person on the stage, and they announce the name, and if you hear your name, you get up and you walk out to the stage. So you didn't really have a heads up, and we're all kind of sitting there anxiously, and I was kind of lucky I didn't have to wait very long.
I personally like that, the surprise factor of a player getting drafted. Like, all respect to the NFL, but when like coaches call them like 2 picks before they're up and just like, hey, like, we drafted you, I feel like it almost like the feeling's still there, but it kind of like kills it, I feel, because when you hear your name called on a national like level kind of thing, I feel like it's just more exhilarating as a player. So I like the way like NLL and like NHL does it, where it's like spur of the moment, you get the genuine reaction of the player, and it's like, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
I made the first step. I got the first step out of the way. I got my name in there. Now let's get signed. Let's get to work. And yeah, like you said, it doesn't stop there at the name being called. But what was your first I'm in the NLL moment? Like, oh wow,
Well,
this is the NLL.
yeah. So for me, like, I got drafted, and then I played my first season with the Boston Cannons, and then I ended up playing my NLL season. So it was a little bit of time in between. But I guess, like, for me, it was kind of like moving to Rochester. The travel from BC, it would be really tough to kind of be able to do practices and games every weekend. So, I moved here my first year, and I'm here again this year. That was, I guess, kind of the moment for me. It's like, all right, I'm moving here. We're playing. You're jumping right in. I'm within the Rochester community doing things around there, and you're right into practice and everything. And I guess just kind of the move was like, all right, I'm doing this. I'm in it, and let's go. So it's a big change of pace. The game's a lot faster, more physical. You're playing against the best players in the world, and it's tough, it's challenging, and it's I think it's one of the best leagues in the world. So
yeah, because you're a defensive guy, and were you just like, man, these guys are like much bigger than the ones I usually play against? Obviously, you were fully expecting that, but just seeing it for the first time in person is always going to be like a wow, like this is the league. Am I true by saying that?
yeah, definitely. And it's, everyone's bigger, faster, stronger. and the league is a lot different. Like the rules are different. There isn't many moving picks in the NLL. So yeah, it's a lot more physical on the defensive side and the offensive guys. We can hit a little bit harder on defense, but they can set harder picks. So it's an adjustment for sure. And the defensive systems that you play are a lot different than junior. And it took some getting used to, but I felt I adjusted pretty quick. And like I said, like being on that Coquitlam team and with Pat Coyle kind of making that transition a lot easier for me. That was pretty key for me.
It's a grown man's game, right? So you gotta expect, them to be a little bit more cheap shots and a little bit more of retaliating going on. But no, dude, that's fucking awesome. And like I said earlier, it's so cool seeing like you, Graydon, Clark, just Keegan, just like all the boys representing the city in the LNLL. And man, it's just so cool, man. Keep up the good work. It's you're killing it, buddy. 6 goals and an apple this year. And almost a point per game player as a defensive guy isn't bad, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, it's good. A little more confidence in my second year. So the goals are coming. We're pushing transition a little bit more, and the team's right there. We've had a couple tough losses and couple goals, but we're competing at the highest level. We're playing with the best teams in the league, and we got another big test on Saturday against Buffalo. So,
how long are seasons?
We will play until April, end of April's regular season, and then May and kind of right into June would be the finals. So I want to say it's 18 regular season games.
Okay.
I don't know for sure. I got my calendar over there. I think it's 18. So
you guys are right around the halfway point right now.
Yeah, we're just right around there. So we got 9 or 10 weeks straight here, no bye weekend. So we got a lot of games coming up and ready to get after it.
Ready to get after it, baby. Every Kick Back and Relax episode, I got 5 questions from my guests. I know I've been asking you questions all episode, but these ones are a little bit different. But we'll start off with this one. First thing you would do if you won $10 million and why?
Oh, $10 million. I'd definitely buy a house. Where? That would be the question.
Yeah.
But I'd definitely buy a house. And maybe I help my mom with her little kitchen renovation she's trying to go through right now. But man, that's a lot of money. I don't know. I'd definitely buy a house, and I'd see how much I got left from that.
Buy Rochester and be a player owner, first player owner. Just be like, hey, sorry, this is my
Jackie
team.
Moon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Second question here, what's the most embarrassing way you've injured yourself? It could be like as minor as a bruise, or it could be like you broke your wrist or something. But what's an embarrassing way?
I have a feeling I know who might have hinted to you at this.
Actually, these are questions I've asked previous guests as well. I haven't heard anything.
All right. I think probably separating my shoulder wrestling Tanner Riley would be the most embarrassing way. I tapped him out, but I did separate my shoulder. So that would probably be the most embarrassing.
Did you just land on it weird, or was it any sort of
Tanner's big body landed on me and separated my shoulder? So
oh buddy, that's amazing.
It's got to be that or getting run over by a truck. So it's one of those two.
Yeah, I heard about that, but I mean, like, that's not necessarily embarrassing. That's just tragic. But wrestling and separating your shoulder, what's the degree of pain in separating your shoulder? Because I've fortunately haven't done it, but is it just
at the time, again, when I was wrestling him, it was okay. And then as soon as it ended, I couldn't really move my shoulder. I looked at it. And then when it was just sitting there, it's okay. But any sort of movement you try and did with it, it was pretty painful. So I definitely don't recommend it.
Yeah, no, it's not on the top of my list. That's for sure. Third question here: what meal or food can you not live without?
Can't live without. Man, I love my tacos.
Tacos.
I would not want to live without tacos. I don't think. There's nothing better than just cooking up a Taco Tuesday. Getting after it, but that's I love my tacos.
Are you a soft or hard taco guy?
I'm a hard taco kind of guy. You know, throw them in the oven
Hard.
for a little bit, get the nice crunch. That's how I like it.
Beef, chicken, fish. Are you welcome
You can do
to?
anything. I normally do beef, but you know, if you go to like Chipotle or something, you change it up, you get chicken or whatever. But
Yeah.
normally it's if I'm making it at Taco Tuesday at home, it's normally beef.
Are you a Taco Bell kind of guy every once in a while?
At college, I was for sure. Like nice one over Sunday. Taco Bell 2 minutes down the road was
Oh,
definitely
that's dangerous.
definitely in the play a lot. Yeah. So
But now that you're a pro, you're kind of eating a little bit better, looking after
yeah, I
yourself a
don't.
bit
I could.
more.
I think the last time I went to Taco Bell was probably in college. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll have to see. Um, what celebrity you rate as a perfect 10? Male or female? We don't discriminate here.
Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston, she's your girl, hey?
Yeah, yeah. Friends and man, Jennifer Aniston's
Always been. She's taking care of herself pretty well. Gotta
Yeah.
respect it. And last question here, Rye. If any actor or actress were to play you in a movie about your life, who would you choose? Or who would it be?
Who would I choose? I don't know. I think I would like. I don't know. I would love to see like a Seth Rogen or something try and play like a
Oh,
professional athlete. I think it'd be hilarious. And then I think it just fits in with like the lacrosse, like college lax bro, you know,
yeah.
whole vibe. So I think that'd be hilarious. But I don't know. That's a tough question.
Yeah. I usually stump some people with that because it gives them time to think. But
Yeah, if you're
Ryland,
thinking about like look-alike, that might be a lot tougher. But I don't know.
first guy that comes to mind just for the beard wise is Gyllenhaal. But
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if he fits like the lax
Maybe
bro
Chris
type of.
Evans, maybe.
Oh, Chris Evans, that's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
good
I'm
one.
a big Marvel guy, so yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah, what's your favorite one? Are you looking forward to the Doctor Strange movie that's coming out this summer?
Yeah, just saw the new Spider-Man. It was great, and then yeah, the new Doctor Strange is gonna be pretty sick. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I
And the new
just
Thor is coming out later this year. So
yeah, I'm excited for that one as well. I just watched the MCU in order from start to finish in like timeline order. It
yeah,
was
chronological order. It's great.
yeah, it was unbelievable. But
Yeah, I've
Rylan,
done that a few times.
this has been an unbelievable episode. I appreciate you so much for coming on, giving me your time. Uh, let the people know where they can find you, anything they can look out for, where they can watch some of your games. Give me all that.
Yeah, I mean Rochester games. A lot of our games are on ESPN Plus or TSN Plus or whatever it is. It's kind of all over the NLL social media and whatnot. And PLL is normally NBC in the States, and they have some international thing. I don't know where it is, but yeah, it's usually just all over social media. I usually post about it, so I'm usually probably pretty annoying about that. But yeah, that's about it.
You have any social media that people can keep up with, and is where they can maybe find if you post about stories about any promotional stuff or game updates or anything?
Yeah, I got my Instagram's Ryland Rees 71. Check it out. I got some supplements there if you want some 20% off. Some stuff in my link tree there if you want to check that out. But yeah, Instagram's Ryland Rees 71. Twitter's Ryland Rees. I don't tweet a whole lot, but I like to retweet and like some things. But that's about it. That's about all my social media I got.
That's awesome. And you guys know where to follow me on Instagram at Jevin.lefave, on Twitter at JevinLefave. Find everything for the show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at leftsideheavy_. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Left Side Heavy. Like, comment, ring the bell so you never miss an upload. And Ryland, once again, man, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And good luck in the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Jim.
All right. See you guys next time.